to make sure with the justices, like, I'm okay to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me get the exact wording. In regards to business information on the app, I am good to give this to law enforcement, correct? They said, what info? Based on what? I don't think it's FOIA applicable based purely on the type of information and the wording of the law. Then one of the grounds for FOIA denial is business secrets. I'd seek legal counsel regarding potential constitutional rights violations, privacy being one. I then clarified like what type of information I'd be giving, like business app, for the approved businesses, the description of the businesses,
Yeah.
list of employees, location, bank number.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I thought this was public knowledge. No. And they said, I don't think any of the business legislation makes it public information. I might be forgetting something though. It'd be really odd if law enforcement could not have access to this, because it's a government like
You have access.
approved business.
I mean, so I agree with you, but I do think that if that's an opinion of a justice, it should be questioned, right? And that's sort of how it works. We can disagree politically on things, right? And this is San Andreas is not Boston. We're in like a unique legal framework, and sometimes we may come across these situations, and we just have to find a way to work with it. And that could mean, passing legislation for the clarity.
Could do that.
However, I think this is, I don't want to go too deep into the conversation because none of us are like hyper deep legislative minds, right? So I think the solution here is look at what it does say, and someone like, Norman getting tasked with it to help put a argument forward. You know what I mean?
That would help greatly, because then...
Also, it's not like you're giving out the business's bank records to law enforcement.
No,
like, obviously,
it's just
at
the
that
bank
point,
account number.
Yeah, it's just the fact that the business exists. I mean, the fact that these judges don't even know their own legislation regarding the businesses, and now saying this, I don't know. It's just insanity. But
I got it working.
these are the same people that don't do their jobs with the business licenses. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that pressed. I think there's a bigger issue. And that is the fact that that dumb fuck over there that just walked out of the vehicle has Carmine looking into it. And apparently their lead detective, Opal Price, knows nothing about it. And she validly, she came up to me about Danger yesterday. She said LSPD was looking into Charles Danger. I said, since when? She said, I spoke with McQuillan. And I'm like, McQuillan's a rookie. And he was hired 2 days ago. Why didn't you talk to a full marshal? Now, she understood. She's like, I'm going to keep comms up. And her concern was the roads rule, which I'm equally concerned with. Because the way that Carmine and Pred are moving is extremely foolish and borderline illegal. Because if they start, like Carmine starts looking into shit that we're already looking into, that BCSO is already looking into, by them being disconnected, having parallel investigations means one could fuck the other. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So... 100%. I mean, TLDR single-handedly, everyone might go free as a consequence of their, Asian.
Can you say?
Well, I mean, what else would I call it?
That's true. Yeah, it does prevent me from providing that with them for a bit, too. That helps, and maybe...
Yeah, so...
I mean, I think the biggest problem with it, and I mean, I think Knight's solution is correct, but I think the biggest problem is, like, especially when you have businesses that just don't have licenses. So like at that point, how are we even supposed to know that the business is approved? You know what I mean? If they literally just don't even have a business license.
I when it comes down to it at the end of the day, right? And this may not be. I think I've seen so many problems like this before. I'm sort of like immune to, you know, a little bit. I look at this like the following. You guys are right from a pragmatic perspective. And the reality is that shit's been fucked for so long that now that we're looking at it, nothing makes sense, right? It's an entire area of space that's just been completely, and I wouldn't blame the judges on it. I don't think that's fair because law enforcement didn't do shit, right? Previous mayors didn't do shit. It's a collective fuck up. And now we're looking at it at the first time and finding these holes. And now the question is, how do we fix it? I genuinely think it comes down to some of the conversations we've had, which is we're going to speak with danger, right? Getting, number one, y'all direct access to those businesses. I would say starting with Blaine County, you should, Don, you should have legislation pushed forward for certain expectations, right? Business licenses must renew or whatever. Yeah, they are open to like either paying taxes or scrutiny. You know,
correct me if I'm wrong, but that was something y'all were planning on doing anyway. Because I remember talking to Eve, and we had a lot of conversations about that, and I was giving ideas for the business legislative stuff that you guys wanted to put.
Yeah, the South business legislation does state that all businesses have to pay 10% net revenue taxes.
They've just never gone after
What's all this Chamber of Commerce? Don't get me started on this Chamber of Commerce bullshit.
Wait, what's the Chamber of Commerce one?
Yeah, the Chamber of Commerce is mentioned in like several legislative things, but there's no Chamber of Commerce. Nobody I've spoken to knows who the Chamber of Commerce is because I don't think the world exists.
Ooh.
And then remember, that's when I was talking to you, and I said that's why I wish that we had legislative, like somebody, even if it's not us, somebody was written in there besides Chamber of Commerce to have oversight, because the thing that is supposed to be oversight
having written the law
doesn't exist.
This makes me
this Chamber of Commerce.
The problem is that doesn't matter because literally the mayor can be the Chamber of Commerce.
There is the Chamber of Commerce legislation that talks about.
Wait, what is this?
Like even in bribes, it talks about
like even this shouldn't be going in like this.
That is over $100,000 needs to be presented to the Chamber of Commerce, like shit like that. Like the Chamber of Commerce is mentioned, but I don't. Nobody knows who the fuck the Chamber of Commerce is.
You know, it's conversations like this. I sometimes wish we could just call the senator and be like, "Hey, can you explain this stuff?"
Can't do that.
I think he'd feel a little awkward, you know?
I mean, I don't see a problem, like, with when we create... Because what Eve was planning to do was, like, combine all of this into one legislation. Like, they did a bunch of condensing recently on a few things, but to do this again, but with businesses.
Yeah, I think
and then we could include things, like, instead of Chamber of Commerce, or maybe if they want to include Chamber of Commerce in the future... We just do Marshals or Chamber of Commerce so that you guys have oversight.
Yeah.
Because yeah. And then it also provides an avenue of, like, if officers or people wanting to do investigative work within law enforcement want to do something, they can just work with you guys on it too.
Yep. And I'm more than happy to work with people.
The avenue for having a business and it being monitored, I think needs to just be legislated. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's
and it may already be there. Like
condensing, I think condensing all the business legislation in one is going to be so much easier than just
I could have
different business legislations having to look at.
Why is there so many? I could have sworn.
Me and Dakota were talking about this last night. There is so much legislation.
This is the issue, Brian. There's been a nasty habit, especially over the last year and a half, where something new might be written or things might get.
Yeah, but that's not true. Like,
well, no, but I'm saying things are supposed to DOJ keeps saying that they're combining pieces because when bills get enacted and then older legislation might have been written out of existence, but it is still in there, thus making it more confusing for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's where I'm confused here, because I could have sworn under Rizal there's Los Santos Unified Business Act, right?
Yep. And there's one for the county and one for the South.
Are we sure? Have we checked whether what's the other Los Santos one?
There's
business license protocols. There's Chamber of Commerce.
And then there's the Bribes Act.
Yep, the Bribes Act. Both the Business Unified Act.
And then there's the Los Santos Unified Business Act. So there's 4 or 5 pieces of legislation, all dealing with businesses that all say different things.
This is very difficult for me to explain because I know how it works.
Reference in the Business Act does not exist and never has.
I think obviously it did at some point, given the fact that
I don't think they need to get rid of the old shit. They're just looking at it wrong.
I believe there might have been intention
this says all the business stuff.
Legislated to exist, but it was I remember at the beginning when the city reopened, they wanted to have a committee of
Sarah's bribes
that were going to take complaints.
Here's the
PE,
business
and it
one.
got legislated, and it never happened.
Could y'all? I'm trying to paint this in my head. So, I see Los Santos Unified Business Act, and then there's the Blaine County one, and then there's bribes, which is specifically for giving out money. What are the others?
Business license protocols.
Give me a sec. What number is that?
9154.
Okay. So this one should be merged. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what else is there?
There's the Chamber of Commerce one, which is 10520. I think this whole thing is just doesn't happen. Yeah, even if you look, Eve was one of the ones that signed it, and I remember talking to Eve, and she said she had ideas for the Chamber of Commerce, and they just never happened, and she was never able to implement them. Because you can even see that Eve signed it.
Revised by Michael Rizal. So okay, so
on behalf of the DOJ.
Here's what this looks like, right? And I want to kind of line you guys because I do believe that we're overcooking on this a little bit as to the complexity. There is the Chamber of Commerce, and this is like an internal expectation of the mayor's office. All this document is really saying is that, inside the Los Santos mayor's office, there should be a Chamber of Commerce who is overseeing business development, right? Now, whether or not any entity inside the Chamber of Commerce exists, right? Because the mayor by de facto would be the head of the Chamber of Commerce, right? You guys following me so far?
Yeah.
So this is simply mandating that this is something that the mayor must do. You could actually, in theory, impeach a mayor in Los Santos County if they do not have something along these lines. Now, whether or not it exists or not, and I don't want to downplay what Eve may or may not have said, but the fact of the matter is Eve was not a part of the Los Santos mayor's cabinet. It could have literally been Marlo for all we know. And whether or not there's an official title, it becomes meaningless unless we ACR them, right? Are you guys with me so far?
Yeah.
Nothing in this states this is just simply saying, hey, there must be an entity that must oversee And I think Danger could have been impeached on this, looking at this, right? So then comes the next thing, which is the Business License Protocols Act. This is a DOJ thing, right? This is the requirement from when Angel signed it. This is the DOJ level law, right? Because there's 2 signatures on a business license. When the DOJ ultimately signs it, these are the things that they must do, and what the citizens must do in order to get the DOJ signature. Now, notwithstanding, I'm not unsure whether the DOJ has done these things, but we can like deep dive that in a second. But then we have bribes, and this is strictly if you own a business, grants, right? Correct. If you own a business, how do you get grants? This is saying, how do you get general grants? How do you get grants for music? How do you get grants for business development? How do you get grants for events? How do you get grants if you're EMS? How do you get grants where you're law enforcement? So what this is doing is this is defining the requirements for the different grant types, right? This comes into play where right now we're, when we look through, the series of grants that were issued, this is your biggest legislative tool. The reason why, and let me just double check here because I think this is for both counties. No, this is only Los Santos County. So I imagine Blaine County may have one. Yeah, because it's only got the Mayor Rizal in this.
That's what I noticed.
Why did Junior always reference bribes acts in his grants then?
There's also so one thing is, from what I understand, the senator used to make sure that things were done right, and then, maybe after he was gone, maybe Junior and other people didn't keep the shit updated, and therefore, what I've noticed in the past is certain things are passing on City Hall, but they're not being reflected in the MDT. So there is a possibility. Actually, it says upon the Blaine County. Okay, this actually looks like this specific document as of the 7th of the 7th month of this year, 7/25. What is that? July 25th. Junior may have signed this on City Hall, but then his signature never got put in here. So I would double check that. This does look like it's Blaine County as well. It's just some of the shit is cooked. Now, one would argue that the DOJ should be ensuring that these documents are good, or hiring a clerk to make sure that these things are good. But once again, look, a lot of people have just kind of given up the last 6 months. That's just, I'm not going to play games. That's just what it is, right? You would think the arbiters of law are going to be maintaining this.
I still don't see the harm in some of this shit just getting condensed into one document, though. Especially if the mayor's office is wanting to do that anyway.
No, and I'm not suggesting otherwise. I'm simply highlighting what these things mean, right? And then you have the Los Santos Unified Business Act, this is how you make your business, right? Across both counties. So could you condense it? Absolutely. But functionally, each one of these pieces of documents cannot be combined. They can't. Absolutely not. Because some of these things, like DOJ owns their licensing guidelines, right? Yeah. That there is no, that's a DOJ thing. That's not a mayor thing. There's a second issue, which is, for something to become state law, it requires both counties to actually sign the legislation. So, in theory, you could combine. I personally, I don't actually think the issue is that things are split. Just being highly knowledgeable about what these things mean. The real issue is that these titles are fucking brain dead, right? So,
that is true. Yeah.
And so as a consequence, there may have been an effort to consolidate everything, but then a bunch of dumb fucks, just to make themselves look busy, started writing a bunch of things. So there was a point in time where there was
like 80% of this legislation.
There was
a bunch
40
of people trying to look like busy.
Well, now, notwithstanding, this is possibly because there used to be previous mayors that were crying and DOJ members that were crying that not enough was done. So they were expecting lots of legislation written, but that doesn't do anything because you have tons of pieces of, legislation. So all of it was condensed down to, I think, 25 pieces. However, then more stuff started getting written because people would demand things, but because there's probably 6 people in the city that actually know how this stuff works. Like, you know what I mean? Like all the 25 and 45 pieces, instead of like Junior or like, Charles or whatever, actually expanding something that exists, they wrote separate articles, right? In fact, this is so cooked when I'm looking at the legislation. It even looks like the justices didn't pay attention, right? Because there's something in here called Bill MG 29671, Drug Oversight, blah, 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 rewrite. This literally shouldn't be in the title. This is the laziest shit ever. Like, quite literally, this is so lazy because a bill is not a piece of law. A bill is simply an action to change the legislation. Oh my God, I'm getting triggered actually looking at this. So for example, the contents of MG 29671 isn't wrong, but the title should be dosage. It shouldn't be Bill MG 29671 rewrite. And notwithstanding, how lazy do you have to be to just copy and paste something off the government website instead of actually formatting it right so people can fucking read it? Holy shit. So, I mean, that's the truth right there, which is, I think these titles need to be updated, but while I understand, hey, it'd be nice for things to be condensed, the reality is I don't think that's a good idea because they are separate. First off, I don't think you can do it, right? Because DOJ is not the, DOJ's got their laws, and then, Blaine County's got theirs, and then Los Santos County got theirs, and outside of the entire constitution changing and the system changing, it's just an impossible task, right? But I think the short term would actually be the way that, the senator started to do it. I'm getting a little crazy here, right? But whatever. Which is starting to name things based on what they are. So the Los Santos Unified Business Act should quite literally have references to the sub legislations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So at the very top, it would be like, sub articles, reference this, reference that, so that when you open up the legislation tab, it just is there. You know what I mean?
Wait. I got something I wanted to highlight. Nakota, you know how we were talking about like looking for legislation that says like business stuff is private, since that was the way they signed it?
Right.
Article 3 of Business License Protocols, Section C.
I know this says we can say we know where their stashes are at all times. Yeah.
How are you supposed to know that if you can't run a business?
No, they.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume using my 2 brain cells that they're supposed to provide that information. Therefore, it is supposed to be available to law enforcement.
I just found it funny that the judges were
but
concerned about the names being given out.
I don't want us, and this is like, please don't start. Let's not start the DOJ bad thing, right? I've been down that path. These guys, especially Faulkner, have been more than cooperative. But just like let's be honest here, there's a misunderstanding in this circle on what some of this stuff means, which is understandable. There's like fucking 45 pieces. They themselves offhand do not have these things memorized, right? It's just a consequence of our system. What we should be doing is going to them and saying, here, this is why we're going to do it, right? And it's not that much different. Like, even if a justice says something, they're not infallible, right? And
well, yeah, I mean, some of this shit is moronic, but yes.
Yeah. So wait Wait, there's so much in this. To issue a business license, you must find a justice and must pay 50,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have people paid?
No,
no.
Dawn has
You
informed
don't-
us that DOJ actively
So-
said that they were not making people pay for their business license.
Yeah,
But
That's
so-
why we are.
Yeah,
I think you
skeptical of their
might have
ability
missed
to
that
read
one.
their own legislation because people have been getting business licenses without paying.
Yeah.
So what we can do is make them do it.
Yeah.
Technically, those licenses should be revoked. No.
Yeah, we're trying to get the full list. I think you guys have been powering through it. You guys are halfway through.
I'm trying to get these guys not to
We're
doom
150.
and say,
That's
well, you
fucking
need to
insane.
do something, right? Like, that's why
Yeah,
these things are
definitely
here.
true. And hopefully we'll have the full-on list of who all is missing licenses and all. So it's apparently justices were teaching each other. They've corrected the mistake now, and they're ready to help fix it once we have the full list. Like that they were just telling people that you don't have to charge for Blaine County.
Yeah. It's
If they already
entirely
have one, if they already have one.
possible that Blaine County... No, but that doesn't make any sense because Blaine County would not be able to override this legislation. So where I'm going here, and I am coming with a little bit of energy, is I've been in this kind of debate before. It's not good. We, especially, there's us four are marshals, right? And, Dawn, you're the mayor. We can go in there and demand these things. And if they don't do it when we point it out, then they are subject to ACRs and impeachments. Now, I don't think for a minute that they're not going to assist. But I think a big part of it is that we need to learn and then educate back. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, they're actively they changed as soon as I told them about it. They made an announcement about it, and then are willing to help when we're done with everything. They said don't touch it until Eve has the full list.
Gotcha. I'd even go as far as saying that this should be submitted in writing with formal letterhead. And I would actually do I personally think that this is not something that should be spoken about only in person, but should actually be done via a writ of mandamus, which is a legal action that is telling the DOJ from a legal position that you must go and charge everyone $50,000. And if you do not do that, then, you know what I'm saying? And the reason I say that is that forces them to be accountable.
Damn, yeah.
So
I'm writing that down in my list of things to do. I'd never heard that before in my life.
yeah, it's because think about it this way, right? If we just ask nicely, you know how it runs, right? If it's a writ,
you're right.
they will do it. If we just say, hey, please do it, they're like, okay, yeah, we'll get to it, you know?
Yeah, no. You hand them the list of all the people that have been paid, then you hand them with that, and
yeah. Now, transparently, I think most of our legal heads are busy as shit. Sparks might open up soon, but...
Wait, Skylar Sparks?
Yes.
She is currently my legal representation for two cases that were thrown at me.
Oh, yeah, I heard about
starting
that.
my mayorship. Yeah, she's fucking amazing. She is godsend, sent from above. She's so good.
Yeah.
It's been really funny what the people have been responding to her on the docket posting. Oh, yeah, I'll ask her about it as well.
There's
yeah.
You've been doing great, Don, I gotta say.
I'm trying.
Good to
my
see
best.
someone that's like looking into it and bringing it forward, you know?
Yeah, I'm trying to look into it because, like, I'm trying to make things make sense for current times. Because certain things probably made sense more a long time ago, just don't make sense now.
Mm.
Uh, so I'm trying to
I
update and update
Junior
things.
was writing. That's another thing. Junior was writing some of the most cooked legislation.
Yes, it's so
Hopefully, I
fucking
think
weird.
you've repealed some of it, but
I'm about to
homie was like
repeal have
pushing
the
3 pieces of
Lulch.
legislation like every week. It was like,
There's so many things that I'm kind of like, why is this written the way that it is? Like, it sounds like either somebody threw it into Chat GPT or someone took a thesaurus, banged it against their head, and said, "I'm smart now." But like,
I,
I
I think it was also like people would go to the mayor and demand something for themselves because it
oh
make them
yeah,
feel special. And so
yep,
then it'd be like, some fucking cringy acronym title, which might be fun for that particular mayor, but creates a legal dilemma.
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
what's happening here, this is the first time people have started to kind of challenge it these last couple weeks and be like, this doesn't make sense, right?
No,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
I actively talked against an act called LulGG Act, and then
Yeah.
like they were saying that, like, don't repeal it because then you don't have control over casinos. But in the act, there's nothing actively controlling the casinos. Just that they need to have a business license. No law against gambling. Nothing. I don't know. But then somebody put forward to me another legislation for. I can't look at my phone anymore. I was gonna show it, but somebody gave me a thing for gambling that they wanted to put forward. So I'll probably replace that legislation.
One thing that I spoke to Springfield about, and this is not like ready for mass consumption, is discussion over a amnesty. Effectively saying, hey, if you have taken any business grants since the dawn of time,
Yeah.
we are affording some amnesty for X period of time to send back all that money, and which I
basically giving them a period to give back the money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unless they're,
That
and then
makes
if they,
sense.
and then after a certain period of time, they're going to be held accountable for it.
I had somebody
Yes,
today fucking
correct.
tell me, yeah, I got $3 million. I didn't use it. I went back to Charles or whoever it was and said, hey, I wasn't able to use it. Can I give it back? And they said, nah, it's okay.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's probably a lot of that, to be honest.
I agree.
I wasn't ready.
There probably is a lot of that.
Yeah. I wasn't ready to entertain it yesterday just because, I was telling you, I was fucking nauseous after 5 hours. It's just too much. But I did mention to her to write something up because, once again, word of mouth isn't it. We need to, make it clear, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
that when people read it, there's, no confusion or stirring or whatever. Or people think hey, if I give this back, they can't look into us, because it doesn't necessarily mean that if they used it and fucking murdered people and they give back that equal money, the murder's okay, right? So,
yeah, yeah, I think quite a few people would think that if I send it back, then everything's okay. That needs to be clear. Yeah. Okay, but I'm sorry for taking up so much of your guys' time.
hey,
Appreciate
this is what we're here for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a job.
It's very helpful. It's very helpful. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys, and all you guys have been helping us too. But yeah. And being safe. Wait, and you got blown up by the faces earlier?
I don't know. It was I don't know what the fuck was happening. It was insane. I had to go take a nap a couple times before
Jesus.
things were right. I think I don't know. Maybe they put some fucking chemical in my vehicle.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Maybe my car we kept turning off earlier and smoking. Maybe they're just putting something in all the cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know if you guys ever need anything from me.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do, like I said, do be advised about this current threat to all this with LSPD High Command potentially cooking everything. And there's no better way to say this other than, them dipping their hands in this the way that they are risks every financial investigation.
I think they mentioned something about KTB. I will say that. Like, that's the only thing I heard.
It was brought up to me by Opal yesterday, and I directed her to Aldo, so hopefully she gives him a call.
I haven't even touched that. I hope you know that KTB stuff I was purely documenting them as a group. There was.
I got you.
There's other marshals working that.
Okay.
As far as like actually working it.
Do we know who it is? I've only heard like vague.
Tyson.
No, like the actual case.
Who's working the case? The marshal? Is that what you
Yeah.
said? Granger and Hobbler are the two that are.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I gave them all the stuff that I documented as an assistant.
Okay.
But they're the ones.
There we go. All right.
Fuck, I might need to go help.
All right. Sounds good.
This Andy Jones. Okay, bye guys. Let me know if you need any info.
Easy. Yeah. I'm trying to keep you guys from dooming too hard. You know what I mean? Look, it looks like
the legislation is just moronic.
I don't necessarily think it's like a dooming thing, Brian. I think it's like you were saying, though, trying to figure out where the overlaps and the confusion are stemming from so they